This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, battery backup. Nova Scotia Power tests a pilot project that gives 125 homes a 3-day supply of electricity in case of an outage. Pop-up grocery. How Cape Breton University students are accessing healthy and affordable meals. And
what you want, what you need, gotta work it.
This Glace-based singer left engineering for music thanks to an ex and an old guitar.
Our latest system continues to depart out to the east, and we're looking at some lingering showers and flurries for Wednesday, but a few breaks of sun as well. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. Well, what do you do when the power goes out? With extreme weather becoming more common, that's a question Nova Scotians are asking more and more these days. Tonight, we can tell you Nova Scotia Power is evaluating the results of a pilot project that delivers backup power through battery storage in your home. As Paul Withers reports, it's too early to say if it can be expanded.
In Little Harbour, Tom McPherson is one of 125 homeowners who took part in the pilot project.
And so far, I've been extremely happy with it.
He's paying $35 a month on a home battery that can power essentials like his water pump, refrigerator, heating and lights for 3 days. It clicks on in seconds in an outage.
Well, at my stage in life, I didn't look forward to going out in the middle of a storm and dragging a gasoline generator out to the house and hooking it up, and then getting my power, and then having to feed gasoline to it over a period of time.
The 3-year home battery storage pilot is part of NSP's $19 million Smart Grid program, which also includes separate initiatives for electric vehicle charging and community solar gardens. Ottawa chipped in $12 million. In the pilot, the batteries are NSP property for 10 years. The company controls the charging and can access the energy for its use.
So we can use it to operate more economically or to store renewable energy for use later when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing.
This system will cost Tom McPherson $4,200, a significant saving.
Their cost, to me, was roughly a third of what it would cost from a general contractor. So to me, it was a very good deal, and then you could pay for it over 10 years, no interest. So I said, well, it's for me.
NSP will evaluate the program over the next year to see if it can put batteries into many more homes. Ed Cullinan is cautious.
It could be part of a more regular home appliance going forward. I think for the average homeowner, the cost has to come down considerably, or programs like this have to continue.
In the meantime, Tom McPherson is thinking about connecting solar panels to the battery system to give him more than a 3-day supply in case of a prolonged outage. Paul Withers, CBC News, Little Harbour.
The future of more than 24 newspapers in the Atlantic region, including the Chronicle Herald and the Cape Breton Post, remains uncertain. Saltwire Network, the company that owns them, has filed for creditor protection. Court documents reveal they can't pay back $94 million in debt. The CBC's Brett Ruskin has more on the financial situation the newspaper group is in and what it means for the papers.
It's the company that owns the most number of newspapers throughout Atlantic Canada, Saltwire Network, filing for creditor protection. Again, they own daily newspapers in the larger city centres, weeklies in the others, including the Chronicle Herald, which is one of the oldest independently owned newspapers in Canada, dating back to 1824 with its roots there. So around 500 employees work for the company, another 800 or so contractors work for the company, and they provide that news content for the kind of the smaller areas all across different provinces across Atlantic Canada. So places where people get information about the school board meetings, community events, things like that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So a key conduit for local information is possibly at risk, with again $94 million in debt due to be paid, about $33 million in assets according to court filings, some money due to the CRA, some money due to the pension fund with unpaid payments to former employees for that pension fund, as well as some money to private equity firms that helped them with an expansion back in 2017 when the company acquired up to 27 different newspapers from Transcontinental Media. Now, we heard from Stephen Kimber. He is a veteran journalist reporting in Atlantic Canada for more than 50 years here, now a journalism professor as well. Here's what he had to say about this situation.
Unfortunately, I think it's much more the issue of bad management. I mean, the first decision that you make to buy, to create a network by buying all of these newspapers for a lot of money that you don't have, so you're borrowing money right there, and you're doing this in a market that's on the downswing anyway.
The company has put out a statement saying that this is a strategic move, one that will allow the company to continue moving forward in a vibrant and resilient way to continue producing news and sharing news with Atlantic Canadians. As to what that will look like in the future, how many newspapers will continue being printed, how many news websites will be maintained, how many staff will be kept on as well. Still lots of questions left to be unanswered, with court documents, court filings, and emergency court proceeding expected as early as tomorrow to find out the future of Saltwire Network. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
A Nova Scotia man is dead after a 3-vehicle crash in St. Petersburg, Florida on Sunday night. Police say he was one of 3 people in an SUV that collided with an oncoming vehicle while attempting to make a left turn. The SUV then slammed into a 3rd vehicle. 4 people were taken to hospital in Orlando. 89-year-old Philip Rose of Nova Scotia later died. There's no word if any charges will be laid. Police say they are still investigating. Students will eat healthy when it's easy and affordable. That's according to findings from a new pilot project in Sydney. And the group behind the research hope it leads to long-term solutions. Erin Potty has that story.
Cardboard containers are being filled with everything from spices, oils, rice, and vegetables. The ready-to-make meal boxes are part of a pilot program at Cape Breton University. They're meant to get students eating healthy meals that require less of their time and less of their money.
So currently we don't have a healthy options on campus, and whatever is sold out, most of them are quite expensive if you take a healthy options, and some of them are really a bit of junk and oily foods, and mostly from the Tim Hortons, as you know.
CBU has its own campus food bank, but sometimes students are given food items they're not sure what to do with. The pop-up grocery store not only sells the kits, but also fresh fruit and vegetables and other necessities.
We want people to be able to cook whatever they want and it to be easily accessible for them and just convenient for them to grab on their way home, or not have to take 1, 2, 3 stops on the way home. They can just get what they need and go home and, just use their time wisely.
Groceries for the boxes are bought in bulk and offered through the program at a 10% discount. Maganor says these kits help address food insecurity and are similar to those offered by companies such as Good Food and HelloFresh, but their cost is typically lower. For less than $5, students and staff can choose between a traditional Indian dish and a traditional Nigerian dish.
And every student loved it, not just the student, even the staff. So we have seen many staff coming over and purchasing it again, and they appreciated whatever we're doing right now. So I think it's a good success.
The program has had a healthy reception, with many people saying they do not want to see it go.
I hope that it gets to continue because we see a lot of great feedback and a lot of people really enjoy it. And especially after having our last one today, it seems like a lot of people were disappointed. So I really, really hope that we can continue this further than just this semester in this project.
Both Buchanan and Maganor are hoping the university's Students' Union will take over the project and expand it to include other meals. Erin Potty, CBC News, Sydney.
Curlers from around the world are starting to arrive in Sydney for the Women's World Championships. The event at Centre 200 starts on Saturday and runs until March 24th. It's the first World Women's Curling Championship to take place in Nova Scotia.
There's 13 teams coming from all over the planet, as far away as New Zealand and Turkey, but there's probably 10 teams that could be competing for a medal here. So that says a lot about how the sport has grown and the quality of the competition. It's just not Canada anymore. There's many teams that could come in and win this, and that I think is exciting. I know the fans would love to see Canada win.
I'll talk to Paul McDonald, Vice Chair of the host committee, about the events they have planned both on and off the ice. That's our newsmaker just after 6:30. And Ryan's here for a first look at the weather, and pretty dreary out there today.
Yeah, definitely dreary. Couple of breaks of sun, but they were few and far between. And the flurries have been pretty persistent this afternoon as we've been watching that next wave of precipitation moving out of the Gulf of St. Lawrence across New Brunswick and now into Nova Scotia. And yeah, those flurries widespread, no question, but not seeing much accumulation yet. But temperatures will drop to the freezing mark tonight, and there's a better chance that we will pick up some light accumulation overnight into early tomorrow morning, before this low finally works its way out to the east. Now, the best chances of accumulation are, again, going to be Colchester, Cumberland, edging into Pictou and Antigonish counties, then down through Truro and back towards the valley. Higher terrain areas, the best shot at picking up about 5 centimeters. Again, by the time we get to around Wednesday afternoon, with some light trace to a centimeter possible, even down towards the Atlantic coastline overnight tonight. Again, with those temperatures dropping to the freezing mark. Also a slight risk of some patchy freezing drizzle overnight into the early morning hours of tomorrow. So between that and the light snowfall, be mindful that things could be slick for that Wednesday morning commute. Generally unsettled again tomorrow, but less precipitation in the mix, just clouds. And I do think we will see some breaks of sun. The best chances are going to be for western areas of the province, especially the South Shore. That'll bump our temperatures up into the 5-6 range. Will be more like 2 to 4 degrees for the rest of the province, with those northerly winds slowly easing throughout the day tomorrow. By the time we get to Thursday, even lighter winds. Yes, a couple of breaks of sun, which is good. Friday, similar story, a couple of breaks of sun early on. Watching this weekend system, some good news here, Amy. Forecast models trending south with this one. I don't think it's going to be a complete miss, but certainly looking less impactful. We'll have more on that with your full 7-day forecast coming up.
We will take the good news where we can get it.
Definitely.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, Nova Scotians who like their cannabis seem to like it a lot. According to the latest Nova Scotia Liquor Corporation financial figures, cannabis sales are on track to break last year's record of $111 million. Cannabis is now sold in 49 stores across the province. Between October and December of last year, NSLC sold $37.5 million worth of cannabis. Just over a quarter of that was Nova Scotia grown or produced. Meanwhile, beverage alcohol sales went up 0.4% for just over $200 million sales in the same quarter. Northumberland Ferries says the MV Surima will be back for 2024. The ferry will start running mid-May between Nova Scotia and PEI. Last summer, Transport Canada announced it was buying a ferry to serve as a replacement for the MV Holiday Island. That's the MV Fanafjord. It was expected to go into service during the 2024 season. Now, Transport Canada says it's expected to take possession of the Fanafjord before the end of June of 2024. Transport Canada says it's working with Northumberland Ferries to get the Fanafjord into service as soon as possible. But until then, the Surima will do the route. Nova Scotia's fisheries minister says he is disappointed the federal government has canceled the 2024 Elver fishery. He says there should have been more action on how to make the fishery safer.
We've been asking for more enforcement, asking for them to look after this sector, and the fact that they made the decision to close it without first giving them more enforcement options, it was just really, really frustrating for our department, but more importantly for the lawful license holders.
Last month, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans admitted it could not control the widespread unauthorized harvesting and violent incidents taking place in the fishery. The department says it needs more time to put in more regulations to control harvesting and exports. The fishery was worth over $45 million annually. Enduring long days on the ice, braving harsh weather conditions, and facing the possibility of returning empty-handed, the modern Mi'kmaq winter harvest of adult eels is more than a mere fishing expedition. It's an act of cultural preservation. The CBC's Sisimo Han ventured onto the ice to learn more about how a large-scale Elver fishery challenges its future.
We give a little offering of what we get. We give back, and every year we feed the eagles out here. Just when you think or you say or you think it out loud, it seems like they hear. And they show up. There's another one coming. There's one right there. So we're going to go for that one. Watch, it's on the ice. And it's going to watch. It's going to swoop down. That's every year we do this. Amazing, eh? In the old days, our ancestors gave out food offerings for the spirit world, and the eel was the choice of food they gave back. The other thing I think about is my grandfather, right, and his father. He said my father came home with 5 eels. There was 12 of them in the house, 13. 5 eels will not feed the whole family. But he sacrificed 1 eel back. And he asked his father, why? Why did you do that? He said, we cannot take all, we must give back. He said, the spirit world takes care of us when we give back.
We refer to that as nedugolim, or that idea of like not taking more than you need. But now, this is probably the best that we've done on this day in, I'd say, about 5 years. But the last time I came out, we only caught 2. And I've heard of, there's been a couple guys that have come out and, make about 20 holes. They don't catch any.
There, look at that! Wow, take it this way so you won't go in the water. There, look at that! When we walk with the spirit world in this world, we do things in a good way. But when people do not walk with the spirit world, then greed, hate, all these bad things that come with that.
My feeling is that we don't really get a big voice in some of the issues. And a lot of our elders are concerned about eels because of how important they are to our culture.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Our grandchildren are going to be affected. Our intergenerational food security is in jeopardy. People are accumulating intergenerational wealth through this overfishing, millions of dollars, and at the same time it's really putting our intergenerational food security in jeopardy. So you have one against the other. I think the introduction of overfishing was the worst thing you could do to a fishery.
Look at the camera.
That's so cool.
So we are not here alone on this earth, there's other. So that word that we pray with, all my relation, it connects to all the things, the air, the water, the sun, all the living things that we are all connected, if we acknowledge it.
Coming up, Haiti's deeply unpopular and unelected Prime Minister Ariel Henry has agreed to step down. The country is in turmoil as various gangs fight for control. Juno Fest is coming up next weekend in Halifax. We'll meet the Juno Wavemaker Ambassador from Sydney, Elise Aaron.
Got my first guitar when I was 16 years old.
And there's a look at Point Pleasant Park in Halifax. Ryan is up next with his full weather forecast. We'll see you in just a few minutes. remember Saturday and the sun? Just a memory now.
Thank goodness it happened on Saturday, right? Because, yeah, I mean, much of last week, obviously pretty unsettled. And of course, this week we have not really had much in the way of sun, and tomorrow will be about the same, though we will see more breaks in the mix tomorrow and Thursday, and even into Friday. But yeah, no wall-to-wall sunshine like we had on Saturday. Have a look at webcam shot, and this one from Truro, and yeah, you know what? The sky looking a little brighter there.
Yeah, if you squint really hard. You're such an optimist.
It's breaking through at some level there. And yeah, what a nice little evening there for a skate.
That is a great shot.
Yeah, at, of course, Truro Civic Square there, temperature near 2 degrees. Few flurries, so really not a bad evening for a little skate, and we will be watching that flurry action to continue as temperatures continue to drop over the next hour or so. We're going to be back down to the freezing mark, and the better chance that those flurries will be sticking around a little bit. Note the winds sustained 10 to, well, in fact, 15, I guess, in Sydney there, looking at 15 at Truro, and 30 closer to Halifax and western areas, looking at gusts near 50 right now in through the Yarmouth area. Note those flurries, which we talked about earlier, those are continuing to back their way in on the other side, the back end of this low pressure system, which will continue to depart to the east, and we are watching those flurries where they're going to be pretty persistent, especially between now and midnight, and some pretty solid bands coming across through southeastern New Brunswick right now into Amherst and then down towards Truro. This is indeed going to be our best chance of accumulating some snow for this evening into the early overnight. Then that low will continue to depart, and we're going to be seeing it just tapering off to less and less chances for flurries throughout the day tomorrow. Looking at North America right now, not a lot of cold air around. Looking at, again, Yellowknife, Churchill, and Iqaluit, obviously, but most of, the United States and into Canada, pretty ho-hum right now in terms of temperatures. And for tonight, not a very cold night. The northwest winds, though, are going to keep things feeling cooler than the freezing mark, but that is about where we'll back to. Looking at the winds, sustained 20 to 30, gusting 40 to 50, continuing, especially for western areas of the province. Note those flurries really kind of wrapping up into the morning hours tomorrow. Risk of some freezing drizzle intermixed with those flurries, especially tomorrow morning. As the flurries become lighter, it actually increases the chance that it'll be falling as freezing drizzle, and that does look like a risk into tomorrow morning, especially in through the Amherst area, down through the Cobequid Bay area. So be mindful of that things could be a little bit slick to start the day for tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, still a chance of a flurry, but it's a better actually chance that it'll be coming down as a wet flurry or a shower, because temperatures are going to bump up. Note that cloud, still pretty dominant for tomorrow. Can't rule out a couple of sunny breaks for Cape Breton, but I do think the clouds are dominant. Temperatures 3-4 degrees, those northerly winds, 30 gusting to 50 in the morning, easing into the afternoon. Looking at northerlies, 20 gusting to 40 for the Northumberland and Eastern Shore. Temperatures here 1 to 4, mildest along the Eastern Shore region. Temperatures 2 to 4 degrees, even 5 degrees Annapolis Royal tomorrow. Looking at that northerly flow easing into the afternoon here as well, and a better chance for some sun through the valley, through the Tri-County area, and into the South Shore region, where I think temperatures should crack 5 and 6 degrees for tomorrow. 3 to 4 degrees to the metro area. And again, can't rule out some sun, but it'll be fleeting. Now, as we look at the Wednesday evening and into the overnight time period, you can see we are going to be looking at the better chance that we'll be looking at maybe a few breaks of sun to start the day on Thursday. Quickly, before we get to that, we want to just show you this one more time. This is our snowfall outlook for this evening into the overnight and tomorrow morning. There is, again, in that darker gray, the best chances of seeing 2 to as much as 5 centimeters. There's the Thursday forecast, and you can see temperatures 3 to 5, 6 and 7 degrees in through the south and west, and a better chance that we will see a little bit of sun in the mix on Thursday. Now, things will cloud up on Friday, and we are going to be watching this next system, but as I mentioned off the top of the show, this forecast model's trending further south with this system. Likely close enough to still throw a few flurries or some showers into the mix on Saturday, but not impactful like it was looking like it could be 24 to 48 hours ago. So some good news there. Quieter on Sunday. We should be around 3 degrees this time of year, Amy, and you can see certainly punching above our weight as we work through the next 7 days.
All right, we've got something in our favor, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
Small wins, thank you.
Yeah, small wins, right. Juno Fest is taking place in Halifax next week. Elise Aaron will hit the stage at the Marquee Club on Friday, March 22nd. She is the Juno Wavemaker Ambassador for Sydney and also part of our new storytelling series, Key Moments. Here's Elise Aaron at Lakewind Sound Studios in Pointe-a-Coney, Cape Breton.
I believe that people come in and out of our lives to help us grow and evolve as part of a bigger picture. And I think for some people, there's one key person or moment that sets them on their path. And I think for others, there are multiple events that get you there. And for me, it was the latter. My name is Elise Aaron. I'm a singer-songwriter and country rock artist from Cape Breton Island, but that wasn't always my story. I got my first guitar when I was 16 years old. I had been asking for it for years, and my dad surprised me one Christmas, and I was absolutely in love with it. My mom had been through cancer. My parents had a tumultuous relationship, and a few months after getting that guitar and that Christmas, my parents split up, and a few years after that, my dad passed away. So watching everything that they had been through, I felt that I didn't want to find myself dependent on anyone when I grew up, and I figured my ticket out was an education and a stable degree. So I went to engineering school. I graduated, I worked for a few years and found myself stuck and unhappy, which was exactly where I didn't want to be. I was playing it safe, and I knew it was holding me back from this vibrant life that I imagined I could have. So on one of my engineering jobs, I met someone and we started dating, and he really nurtured this creative side of me. I remember playing with that old guitar one day and singing, and he said, "You know, you're really good at this." And I don't think I'd ever heard that before. To know what your strengths are and to kind of understand what's out there for you, sometimes you need to have a little bit of guidance. I don't think we always just innately know inside. I felt like he was the first person to see me as a creative and not just as this analytical type A person that I thought I had to be or that I put myself out there as. So he asked me one day what I would do or what I would have done if time and money were no issue. And I said I would have played music. At the time, I still had my old guitar, but it didn't play well, and it kind of discouraged me a little bit. So we went to Long and McQuaid, bought me a new guitar, and the rest is literally history. A lot's happened between then and now, bringing me here to this moment with you. Even though it didn't work out in that relationship, I am so grateful for it and for that redirection. I think this idea of having one path or one mission in life can be overvalued. I think in reality, you can have many paths or chapters or versions of yourself if you're open to that. And I know this isn't the last version of me in this lifetime, and I'm okay with that.
A bowl of dark red cherries on the table. I let myself have a taste when I can. I just want to taste it and get some joy. I'm waiting for a richer moment I can savor. I get myself just a little bit ahead. I just want a piece, and I just want some peace of mind. Tell me I deserve it, tell me that I'm worth it, that I got what's mine and I damn well earned it. What you want, what you need, gotta work it. Just give me some permission to give up the addiction, to get a little bit of what I've been given. Tell me that I earned it, tell me I deserve it. Yeah, yeah. Well, I deserve it.
Elise Aaron's full version of her song Cherries is up on cbc.ca/ns. Well, up next, I'll talk with Paul McDonald, one of the organizers of the Women's World Curling Championships starting this weekend in Sydney, and I'll ask about the event's impact on the local economy. That is our newsmaker. Stay with us. You're watching CBC Nova Scotia News. Teams from 13 countries will compete in the World Women's Curling Championships in Sydney starting this weekend. Canada will open the tournament on March 16th with 2 draws. The first will be against Sweden in the afternoon before an evening draw against Denmark. I'm joined now by Paul McDonald, Vice Chair of the host committee. So first off, how are you feeling with the event just days away now?
Anxious, excited. It's hard to believe, it's almost been 2 years since we were a successful bidder, and it seems so far away. And now here we are, just days away from all the teams coming to Sydney and Cape Breton for the World Curling Championships. It's kind of surreal right now.
Now, I understand some teams have already started to arrive?
Yes, from what I understand, Denmark arrived last night. Sweden and Japan have been here. Actually, the Japanese team has been practicing and playing over at the Sydney Curling Club. So, yeah, there's teams starting to arrive. And from what I understand from Curling Canada, their officials, most of the teams will be arriving today.
Well, can you talk a bit about how big of an impact this will have on the local economy?
Well, if we compare it to our past major curling event, which was the Scotties in 2019, the Steam report from that said there was an $8 million economic impact for the local area. So it's quite significant, especially at this time of the year. They call this, I guess, the shoulder season between, spring and then the summer tourism season. So it's a big deal here. Big deal for not only Sydney, but the entire island. So we're excited about that.
Well, how much did that experience with the Scotties back in 2019 help in planning this time around?
I think it was key. I think we had a very successful event. That was our first kick at the can, so to speak, with Curling Canada. Had not had a relationship with them. Now we do, and they've been very supportive and helpful in this bid. And I think without that success, we would not be here today. And, it's, the community, again, has responded to this event as they did with the Scotties. I think even bigger this time around, and it certainly helped to have them here in 2019, seeing the area for the first time, and I think they're pretty excited about coming back as well.
Now, on the ice, what are some of the biggest rivalries we should be watching out for?
Well, of course, Team Canada with Rachel Homan, who had a tremendous Scotties, and she was here in 2019. She actually lost in the final. So I'm sure she would like to get back and make amends for that. Team Sweden, Anna Hasselberg, has always been, she's top 2 or 3 in the world every year. I mean, the Swiss are 3-time champions. They're coming in. And the biggest thing with curling now is there's probably, there's 13 teams coming from all over the planet, as far as away as New Zealand and Turkey. But there's probably 10 teams that could be competing for a medal here. So that says a lot about how the sport has grown and the quality of the competition. It's just not Canada anymore. There's many teams that could come in and win this, and that I think is exciting. I know the fans would love to see Canada win, and but you never know. I just want to see a great week of curling, and I think the international flavor also adds to the event.
Now, what kind of events do you have planned off ice?
Well, we have the patch, which goes with all curling events just outside the building. It's a 17,000 square foot hospitality tent, I guess we can call it, that will have local entertainment every single day that we're here. Food, some curlers in there as well, doing some Q&A with the local Curling Canada MCs. It's going to be an exciting time. So that usually is the transition period between draws. Everybody gathers, and it's a great social event in a social area. And that's the biggest thing with curling, is those that have participated in the sport or watched the sport. It's the social piece is always a part of it, and a big part of it as well. So we have some St. Paddy's Day stuff planned as well. On Wednesday, March 20th, it's our Cape Breton kitchen party. We've got a lobster dinner for folks here and some great local music, and it should be a lot of fun.
Now, before I let you go, I understand there's going to be some Canadian curling royalty there as well.
Absolutely, Amy. It's your own Colleen Jones and Kim Kelly will be here throwing the ceremonial first stones of the event, and they'll be around for some they'll be at the patch as well, answering questions. I mean, they are curling, you're right, 6-time champs, been to the Worlds many times, won the World. So it's great to have them here. And as you know, Colleen, she's a bundle of energy, and she'll bring that to the event as well.
Oh, it sounds like a great time. Thank you so much for talking to us today. I know you're busy, so we appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks for the interest. I appreciate it.
Coming up, actress Lily Gladstone is making her mark, and she's been highlighting Indigenous designers this awards season. Welcome back. Haiti's unelected and exiled Prime Minister Ariel Henry has agreed to resign. The move comes as the country is overwhelmed by violent gangs and amid mounting international pressure. The CBC's Evan Dyer has the latest.
We went out for a quick zip around this morning, just a little ways downhill to look. And with the announcement of the Prime Minister resigning, there appears to be a better feeling in the air right now.
In the hills above Port-au-Prince, residents are digesting the news that their unpopular prime minister has stepped down and a new government is forming.
The streets are empty of policemen for now. They're all around the strategic places around town because the gangs have been attacking them throughout the last few 10 days, let's say. And it's been really, everybody's been hiding in their place, in their home.
I want to compliment the stakeholders of Haiti
the people of Haiti, who would have worked with us.
For 3 days, Caribbean leaders have been gathered in Kingston, Jamaica, meeting with Haitian leaders and representatives of the US, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, and France.
The following is agreed: the creation of a transitional presidential council comprised of 7 voting members.
There was also some progress in Port-au-Prince, where government forces appear to have recaptured the container port. Not a moment too soon, says the World Food Programme.
We're also seeing an interruption in the flow of goods. And this has huge impacts on food markets in Port-au-Prince. Household incomes are coming down because people can't go out and work. People are sheltering in place and don't have the income that they need to buy food.
Haitians urgently want to see the arrival of a promised multinational security force headed by Kenya. But Kenyan law required a formal agreement between Haiti and Nairobi for that deployment to take place. Haiti's outgoing PM signed that deal last week.
I think the obvious question that many Kenyans are asking is whether the conditions have moved sufficiently away from the conducive environment for a deployment.
The Kenyan government says it's still committed to the mission, but other countries want to see Kenyan boots on the ground before they commit their forces. Meanwhile, Haiti awaits its rescue. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
A key go-between in the efforts to get a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war says a deal is still a long way off. The Foreign Ministry of Qatar says the main obstacles involve demands for an Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and the release of Israeli hostages. But there are new developments in the efforts to get aid into Gaza. Journalist Sarah Coates has the latest.
The tensions are running high right across the region, including here in the city of Jerusalem, with the Muslim holy month of Ramadan now underway. Mediators had really been hoping to achieve a deal to see a ceasefire and also the release of hostages by Ramadan to try and bring down tensions. But we've just heard from Qatar's foreign ministry, which says that a deal is not close, citing a number of obstacles on the ground. Hamas says that it wants to have an agreement that there will be a complete ceasefire. This is something that Israel has been saying it is totally against, that it will not leave Hamas in power. While Israel also says that it wants to see a list of captives that are still alive, which Hamas says that is simply something that it cannot do due to Israel's bombing campaign, because it doesn't know where these hostages are and it doesn't know which ones are alive. Meanwhile, a pilot project has begun trying to get aid through a maritime corridor from Cyprus to Gaza. The Open Arms, an NGO ship provided by Spain, is now making its way across the Mediterranean laden with 200 tons of aid, a towing barge full of flour, rice and other proteins. This is hoping to really address the dire humanitarian situation on the ground inside Gaza, with the United Nations saying that a quarter of the population is on the brink of famine. Questions do remain as to just how this boat will actually unload this aid and how the aid will be distributed, given that there are currently no working ports in Gaza. They have all been destroyed. Sarah Coates for CBC News, Jerusalem.
Angry protests have erupted across India. Demonstrators are opposed to changes to the country's citizenship law. Police used water cannons to break up protests in some parts of the country. The new law expedites citizenship for non-Muslim refugees from India's neighboring nations, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. When the law was first passed in 2019, it sparked massive protests and sectarian violence, which delayed its implementation. Critics say it's an effort by India's current Hindu nationalist government to split voters along religious lines. National elections are set to start next month. There is growing concern about the mental health of Canada's Mounties. A new report suggests RCMP officers are suffering more and more. Sam Sampson looks at those worries not just for individual members, but for the force itself.
Pelican Arrows, Creighton, Deschambault Lake, Green
Pick
Lake,
any
Oval,
detachment in Saskatchewan, and RCMP Sergeant Joy Prince has been there.
Melfort from the James Smith, Humboldt from the Humboldt Broncos crash.
The sergeant leads mental health programs for Saskatchewan RCMP members, helping them with things like depression, anxiety, panic, and worse.
I have had to help assist with suicidal employees. We're humans first, and taking care of ourselves and our mental health will benefit not just us, but will benefit our families.
Now, a new report suggests Prince's job is needed more than ever. University of Regina researchers found 65% of RCMP officers showed signs of one or more mental health disorder. 5 years ago, it was 50%. The report, paid for by the Mounties Union, suggests RCMP officers are 6 times more likely than other Canadians to have a mental health disorder.
If we don't address those kinds of challenges, we end up at increased risk for the officers having any number of different kinds of compounding challenges. So they could end up off on leave, in which case we're reducing the number of officers that we have available.
Researchers suggest that increase could be due to factors like a record high number of unfilled positions, the pandemic, and more natural disasters forcing officers to do more with less. But also possibly a culture shift, more officers just sharing how they feel. The union hopes this report pushes the RCMP to increase existing programs and access to help like online counseling.
It's not just with the RCMP, it's right across all first responders. And it highlights the fact that, hey, okay, there's something going on in these services here and we need to figure out what it is.
The RCMP says it takes mental health injuries seriously. In a statement, the police force described several ongoing programs and pilots, including its own process to get members back to work after traumatic events. The union says that's great, but the ask is for more, a request the RCMP says it's reviewing. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Regina.
Well, she may not have won an Oscar on Sunday night, but actress Lily Gladstone made her mark. The Indigenous performer has been making history throughout this award season. And as Magda Gabrisalasa tells us, she's been sharing the spotlight on the red carpet with Indigenous designers.
Lily, can we have you on this way?
Lily Gladstone's red carpet looks stunned and inspired, putting Indigenous designers on the same stage as some of the world's best-known luxury brands.
I am wearing Joe Big Mountain with Gucci.
The Killers of the Flower Moon Star has made award season history. The Siksagate Setapi and Namipu actor is the first Indigenous performer to win the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Drama, and the first to earn the SAG Award for an outstanding performance by a female actor in a leading role. Along the way, in magazines and on the red carpet, she's been wearing Indigenous designs, bringing the bling in beaded jewelry and striking a pose in standout looks. Among those that made the cut to dress the star is Anishinaabe designer Leslie Hampton. Hampton, who is based in Toronto, designed this look worn by Gladstone in Variety magazine.
So this is what we send.
And this dress as an option for the star to consider for the Oscars.
It's so exciting to be able to have that connection with Lily and to celebrate her massive achievements and moments that are happening right now, not only for her, but for Indigenous people.
And it's an exciting time for the many Indigenous designers tapping into new or traditional methods.
You'll see that with like quill work and beadwork and ribbon skirts.
Sage Paul says what's happening in fashion right now is monumental.
To see Indigenous made garments and fashion and accessories on the red carpets, on the runways, even Indigenous models, it's inspiring. We can see younger generations seeing themselves represented in those spaces.
They too could one day make their own mark on future award seasons to come. Magda Gabrisalasa, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, so you're saying some glimpses of sunshine. I'm kind of clinging to that right now.
The best chances are going to be over western areas of the province, no question. So Tri-County area, the Valley, and the South Shore. Can't rule it out, though, for Halifax. But again, they are going to be pretty fleeting, I think, for central and eastern areas. We may get surprised, but don't get your hopes up. Better chance, though, for Thursday and even a chance on Friday. But yeah, it's definitely been a pretty cloudy week, and we're looking at a pretty cloudy week ahead as well, where we'll have to run out and stare at it when it's there, not directly at it. You know what I mean. Have a look at our viewer picture of the day. A reminder that it does not need to be sunny to be beautiful here in this province from Peggy's Cove.
Oh, that is nice.
Isn't that nice?
That is nice.
Clouds, bit of fog in the mix. Christian Herridge, friend of the show, thank you so much for sharing this. Orion's picks at cbc.ca, and yes, keep those picks coming. This is typically the time of the year where it dries up a little bit before things are starting to bloom. The snow's gone, a bit gray, but yeah, keep them coming if you can. Temperatures ranging between 2 and 5, and yes, 6 in the Tri-County area for tomorrow. Better chance that we'll see some sun there, and that should pop our temperatures. Could see 2 to as much as 5 centimeters for northern areas of the province tonight. A trace to coating possible for most through the overnight, with that temperature dropping to the freezing mark. Tomorrow you can see pretty much wrapped up into the afternoon with just those clouds lingering. Thursday, again, definitely some breaks in that cloud cover. Best chances will again be over western areas. And then for the Friday time period, we are watching that system tracking in from the southwest, but the model trends have been further south with that, keeping it at least the most significant precipitation to our south. And so just flurry and shower chances for Saturday now, with clearing into Sunday. Sun breaks.
Sun breaks.
Yeah.
We'll take it. All right, finally tonight, here's something to celebrate. An 18th century shell collection that is believed to have once belonged to the explorer Captain Cook has now been recovered. The whole collection is made up of over 200 pieces, and it's believed they all come from Captain Cook's third voyage.
Until now, the shells had been missing for over 40 years. Archaeologists thought they had been thrown in an office cleanup in Newcastle, at Newcastle University, but now the whole collection is now back on display.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty cool indeed.
All right, that is it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.